So we're going to kind of continue that graphic novel section here. So we're going to talk about Richard Mcguire, his comic Here, and it basically tells the story of one person's life as it progresses through a single house at various moments in time. And he eventually, in 2015, created a computer or interactive version for a computer or tablet. But originally it came out and it was published on paper in 1989 originally. But this is actually a screenshot of the interactive version from 2015. And it's you can click on different areas and it kind of shows you how the story unfolds. So you get to kind of interact with it and you get to choose how the story unfolds. So we really have seen a wide variety of different types of comics and comic books and graphic novels. We've kind of seen the progression from simple paper comics to these more complex digital comic books or graphic novels. And then we'll talk about contemporary approaches in drawing. So some artists create works in new ways using new media and then label them drawings because they don't really have anything else that describes what they do. So we're going to take a look at a piece by Julie Meretu, Back to Gondwanaland from 2000. She uses drawing and painting in the same large work, and Back to Gondwanaland includes color swatches of paper. So we'll take a look at this, along with drawn ink lines. And she makes abstract drawings, but the shapes she uses suggest public spaces, kind of impersonal spaces, such as like offices, airports, classrooms, or stadiums. So you can kind of see this almost looks like the curved roof of a stadium maybe, or maybe large windows of a public building. And there's just other, like an airport, and even the colors she chose kind of makes you feel like it's kind of a public space. And drawing has been traditionally an organic process, but her works do not look entirely handmade. It almost looks like she's done some of this in the computer as well. So ink and acrylic on canvas, and this is a very large piece. It's 8 feet by 10 feet, so it's really quite large. I actually have a video on that, but we're going to skip that for the sake of trying to save a little time. So we're going to talk about Ingrid Calamay, number 334 drawing. And she basically makes these rubbings, uses a colored pencil, and she uses mylar paper. So I'll show you what that looks like. So the drawings of Ingrid actually begin as rubbings taking from really highly textured surfaces. So basically she might take some mylar paper blank and then use a colored pencil on the surface of like a steel beam even, and just to get that texture down, and she'll do that, and then she kind of layers it up to create her pieces. And she selects and combines the rubbings, she overlays them, and then she laboriously copies each layer with colored pencil. So each color in a final drawing comes from a different rubbing, and these drawings render the most minute details of the floor or the beams used in some of these places. And it's really kind of an eerie beauty that she gets in her pieces through the layering of different rubbings that she takes. And this is a very contemporary approach to drawing. Another contemporary artist, Carla Ganis, she did the selfie drawings, which is a series of 52 works that she created over the course of 1 year in 2015. And she basically used her photographic self portrait, and then she put it through all sorts of digital manipulations. And she added text or drew on top of it. She added layers of color, she cropped it, she duplicated it. And many of her drawings actually refer to earlier works in the history of art, which is interesting because she's using such contemporary techniques. So it's kind of cool to see that. So we'll take a look at the selfie drawing, one of her selfie drawings. So this is number 41, Babel in Wonderland, 2015. It's a digital drawing. It's 40 inches by 40 inches. So if we take a look at this, you can see her body is kind of poking out of this Tower of Babel, which is actually based on a famous 1563 work that is from that same title called the Tower of Babel. And we see the artist herself doing financial calculations on a screen with a stylus, and the numbers are actually backwards, so it actually looks like she's writing on the other side of a transparent screen. So it's kind of interesting that she's using, you know, something that would be considered a traditional media of a canvas, but she's treating it like a digital screen, and she's kind of harkening back to art history with the Tower of Babel here, but she's using really contemporary techniques with the computer. And she used Photoshop and the clone stamp tool to create these clouds, some of these clouds. So it's interesting to see the combinations of contemporary techniques and themes mixed with some more traditional themes. And so Ganis really sees herself in the latest media, but she also filters her identity through historic images. So we've seen quite a few examples in this lecture, and drawing is definitely an immediate way to communicate through imagery. It's one of the main ways that artists use to communicate through imagery, and it enables artists to share their ideas, feelings, experiences, and their imaginings with us, either as sketches, a preparatory study, or actually a finished work in and of itself. So it kind of, there's 3 different ways they can kind of approach it: a sketch, a study, or a finished work, which we have all covered every one of those. So anyway, we will see you next week. I think that's going to wrap it up.